Google just quietly pushed an AI assistant into Chrome for users in the United Kingdom, and the chances are you already have it without even knowing. If you open a new tab right now in your browser, you might notice something new, a Gemini icon. It's subtle, it's easy to miss, but it represents something pretty significant. Google is taking its AI chatbot, Gemini, the same AI powering Android, Gmail, and everything else in Google's ecosystem, and baking it directly into the browser itself. No add-on, no extension, just there. This is the first browser rollout of its kind for Google, but it marks what might become their biggest push, yet to make AI feel less like a separate tool and more like something woven into the fabric of how you browse. Think of it like having a co-pilot sitting in your browser, a digital assistant within one click, always accessible whether you're researching something, writing an email, or trying to understand a confusing article. The question is, what does it actually do, how does it work, and what are the privacy implications of having Google's AI watching your browsing habits? Here's where it gets interesting. So what exactly is Gemini, and why is Google putting it in Chrome? Gemini is Google's latest large language model, basically an AI that's trained on massive amounts of text and can have conversations, answer questions, and help with creative tasks. It's Google's answer to ChatGPT. Unlike ChatGPT, which lives in a separate website that you have to visit, Gemini is now being woven into the tools you already use every single day. Chrome is a perfect place for this because more than 2 billion people use it. It's the most popular browser in the world by a massive margin. By putting Gemini directly into Chrome, Google doesn't have to convince people to use a new app or visit a new website. It just shows up. The timing is also telling. Google has been feeling pressure from OpenAI, who have built a multi-billion-dollar business around ChatGPT. Google wants to prove that AI isn't something you need to leave your normal workflow for, it's just a feature that's always there. For users in the United Kingdom specifically, this is the first major rollout of Gemini directly in the browser. It's a test market. Google's watching to see how people engage with it, what features work, what breaks, and whether this changes how people browse the web. And what most coverage gets wrong is the broader strategic picture. Here's how it actually works under the hood. When you're in Chrome and you click on the Gemini icon, usually in the top right of your browser, you get a panel that opens on the side of your screen. That panel connects to Google's servers where the actual AI model lives. Your questions get sent to Google, processed by Gemini, and the responses come back to your browser. This is important because it means Google sees every single thing you ask. You're not running the AI locally on your computer. You're sending your questions across the internet to Google's data centers. The integration is pretty seamless from a user perspective. You can highlight text on any web page, right-click, and ask Gemini to summarize it, rephrase it, or explain it. You can ask it questions about what you're reading. You can use it to draft emails or social media posts. It's designed to be contextual, meaning it understands what you're looking at and can reference it. From a technical standpoint, this required Google to redesign how Chrome handles sidebars and how the browser communicates with Google's backend servers. Chrome now basically acts as a client for Gemini, constantly exchanging data with Google's AI infrastructure. But here's where the real story starts. Let's get practical. You're reading a news article about AI and you don't understand a particular paragraph. Instead of opening a new tab, going to ChatGPT or Google Search, you highlight that text, right-click, and ask Gemini to explain it in simpler terms. Boom. Explanation appears in the sidebar, or you're writing an important email for work. You draft it in Gmail, click the Gemini button, and ask it to make it more professional or more friendly, depending on the tone you're going for. The AI rewrites it for you while you keep editing. Another example, you're on a product page deciding whether to buy something. You ask Gemini to compare this product to its top competitors. It pulls information and gives you a comparison right there. Or you're learning something new and want a summary of the top 5 key points from the article you're reading. Gemini summarizes it for you without you having to switch tabs. The feature is designed for those micro tasks that normally require a context switch, leaving what you're doing to go search for answers or use a separate tool. For users rolling this out now, these are the core use cases. There's also some early testing with more advanced features like image understanding, where Gemini can analyze screenshots you share with it. And this is where things get surprising. Now, this isn't the first time AI assistants have been integrated into browsers. Microsoft Edge has had Copilot built in for months now, but there's a crucial difference between how Microsoft did it and how Google is doing it. Microsoft Copilot is mostly positioned as a separate sidebar experience. You open it, it sits there, but it's not deeply integrated into the actual web page you're reading. Google's approach with Gemini is more aggressive. The entire context of what you're reading becomes fair game for the AI. It's more like having an AI assistant looking over your shoulder at what you're reading. Chrome also has a massive advantage over Edge. Market share, 2 billion users versus Edge's roughly 250 million. That's an 8-to-1 difference. Gemini in Chrome will reach far more people far faster. Compare this to ChatGPT, which lives in a separate website. If you want to use ChatGPT, you have to explicitly decide to leave what you're doing and open a new tab. With Gemini in Chrome, it's baked in. You don't have to make a decision. It's just there. This is a strategic move by Google to make AI feel like a normal browser feature, not a special separate tool you need to choose to use. Here's what the headlines aren't telling you. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, privacy. When you use Gemini in Chrome, you're sending your questions to Google's servers. Google sees what you ask. Google sees what web pages you're reading. Google sees your browsing context. Even if you're not signed into your Google account, the data is being collected and linked to your browser. Google says they don't use this data to train Gemini or to improve ad targeting, at least not right now. But history shows that not right now can change. Remember when Google said they wouldn't do ad targeting on Gmail? They changed that position. Remember when they said they wouldn't access your location data through Chrome? Attitudes shifted over time. For users in the United Kingdom specifically, there's an extra layer of regulatory scrutiny. The European Union has been investigating Google's practices relentlessly over the past few years, and the post-Brexit regulatory environment is trying to establish its own center of AI governance and oversight. Putting Gemini directly into the browser means more data collected from users. There's also the question of how Chrome handles data deletion. When you close the sidebar, is that conversation deleted from Google's servers immediately, or does it stay? The answer isn't entirely clear, the part most people overlook entirely. So how do you actually get this if you're a user in the United Kingdom? Here's the straightforward answer. If you're using the latest version of Chrome, Gemini should already be there. No installation needed, no special steps. Just look for the Gemini icon in the top right corner of your browser, usually next to your profile picture. Click it, and a sidebar opens. The first time you click it, you might be asked to sign in to your Google account, or at least connect your account for the feature. Then you're ready to go. There's not a lot of configuration. You can't really customize what Gemini does or turn off most of its features. It's pretty much all or nothing. If you don't like it, you can close the sidebar and just not use it. You can also access Gemini through the right-click context menu on any text. Highlight something, right-click, and you'll see Gemini options. Some users report being able to use Gemini even without signing in, but signed-in users get the better experience. If you want to disable it entirely, you can go into Chrome settings, then look for privacy and security settings, but there isn't a dedicated on-off switch right now. Google might add one in the future, and this is what nobody predicted. Here's what matters looking forward. Google is using the United Kingdom as a testing ground for deep AI integration into Chrome. If this goes well, if people use it, engage with it, and don't immediately run into privacy concerns that make headlines, expect Google to roll this out globally to all browsers everywhere. This could fundamentally change how people interact with the web. Instead of the browser being a neutral window to the internet, it becomes a mediator with built-in AI. Every search, every page, every article gets filtered through an AI lens. For Google, this is brilliant strategy. It locks AI usage into their platform. People are already using Chrome. Now they're using Chrome's AI too. That creates an even bigger moat around Google's business. For users, it's a genuine convenience upgrade. Having AI assistants always available without leaving your workflow is genuinely useful. But it also means accepting that Google sees more of what you do online. The rollout in the United Kingdom is happening right now. If you're a Chrome user there, Gemini is probably already accessible to you. The real question is what comes next. Will other browsers follow? Will regulators step in? Will users demand better privacy controls? Follow for daily AI news to stay on top of what's happening next.